Thank you so much, Professor Brian Paul, for this opportunity, and good morning, everyone. Welcome here. Today we'll talk about how film speaks, but before I begin, I should ask how many of you are interested in cinema or filmmaking or as a profession, film career? Can you please raise hands? Nice. So we have a very few. So the rest could be say yes or no out loud. Journalism, PR, sports media. Any of these?
All right, now everybody's got to really be paying attention here. Come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing forever.
Yeah? Raise hands. Raise hands. So I am assuming all these hands, either journalism, PR, or sports media. Anything that I have left? Advertising, maybe. Raise hands. Nice. So that covers almost the whole class. The reason I asked, all these disciplines are, you can say, depend on the art of storytelling that we get from cinema. So the techniques that we will learn or we'll see or we'll study in cinema, this is the week for film analysis, as you know. So you'll have your assignment this week by the end of Wednesday on film analysis, but not necessarily you have to be a film critique, even if you're not planning to be in this career. Make sense? So even if you are from journalism or advertising, you can always, these skills are transferable skills. And trust me when I'm saying it, because in my career, I am definitely passionate about cinema, but I hardly could make money out of it. And that's why I always transferred my skills whenever I had to, when I needed money, I transferred it to advertising, journalism, television, PR. I did everything of this, but none of these are my field of passion, let's put it that way. Make sense? So you can always transfer these skills even if you're not a cinema person. So let's get to know how this art of storytelling through audiovisual medium, whatever the platform is, how it functions and how it works. And the first thing that we need to learn, and particularly for your assignment as well, that's what I'm mainly focusing on because you'll write something and submit by the end of this week. And that is a Hitchcock's film, so you'll see the assignment there in Canvas. I forgot which one was that. So that's a scene and how you analyze it. So and to start with, let's get to the point how we see cinema, what we have to notice. That's what is today's task. And the next class, Wednesday, we'll get to know how to write about it, because you'll be writing eventually and submitting it in the written form. So what to write, what are the vocabularies that I need to use, and how to construct my idea and kind of materialize it from thought to paper. Make sense? So we'll have this journey together, and let's start. So the first thing, how we notice what to notice, what we see on screen. Even if you're not from film background, feel free to stop me if you find any jargon that I'm using and you're confused about the jargon or terminology. All good? We'll watch one little sequence, and then I'll get back to you. So watch carefully. I'll ask a simple question. What did you notice? That's the question. Just to get to know this way of looking at stuff, especially this kind of aesthetics that we're talking about. How many of you have watched the film Wrestler? Nice. We have a very few. That's okay, even if you haven't. So I'll show you the opening shot, the title shot, and right after the title, the first scene, the film starts with. My question is quite broad. What do you notice?
Great show, man. You really put them over. Here you go. Sorry, I was sure they gave you better. But don't forget, 2 months. Raw way, legend signing. I need you now.
So coming back to you guys, who'd like to say, what did you see? Without knowing the context. Visually, what did you see? What's striking that you noticed? Anyone who'd like to share? Anything, don't feel hesitant. Please, yeah? Perfect. So what did you say is, yeah. So do you guys know this concept of macro and micro? We know the vocabulary, right? Small and big. So you said the big picture. Through what? Let's go to the micro details of it. How did you get it?
Like they had posters of his fame and his nicknames and like radio broadcasts, commentary about how special he was.
Props, sound, right? In this case, wall. The film started with wall posters, news cutting. We're getting there? And my next question, in the next shot, the first title scene, and in the next scene when we see the character 20 years later, what do we see in terms of this props and wall? Should I go back? Do you remember? Please, yes? Sorry, come again. Right, nothing of that matches, right? Earlier, his fame, that was full of, fully, the whole wall was full of his fame. And next we see kids' drawings and stuff, if you remember. Should I go back? You can see here as well. Drastic shift. So that gives you a bigger picture of the whole film, that his situation has changed. A drastic downfall of a character, socio-economic condition, or whatever we say. So always circle back. The reason I'm sharing this, when you notice something, think of micro, and then think of the macro picture as well. Circle back to your topic sentence. What might contribute in the bigger picture in this whole film? So we'll see many examples, and we'll try to notice how to see micro stuff and how to relate it to the macro. That's the shift we have to kind of be skilled at. Make sense? Questions? Anyone who'd like to say something else about the film that we have watched? All good? No questions? Another scene from the film Joker. If you don't know the director, Darren Aronofsky, it's one of my favorite as well. He's a wonderful maker. Now let me show you this. The title shot of Joker, please, yes?
You can also take a class with one of the producers of this film, right? What's his name? The guy that, he's a professor of practice.
Oh, yes, here, I forgot his name. He's the producer of Batman series, right?
Every Batman film.
Yeah, at IU, if you don't know. Yeah.
And he teaches here, does courses over the weekend, and really interesting guy. I'll look it up.
Same question. What do you notice? And we'll see the title shot and right after the first scene. I guess many of you have watched. How many of you have watched it? Quite a lot than the first one, right? So I'll cut a little bit of the title shot because we know the camera goes down. Nah.
Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
It is certainly intense. People are upset. They're struggling, looking for work. These are tough times. How about you? Have you been keeping up with your journal?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Did you bring it with you? Arthur, last time I asked you to bring your journal with you for these appointments. Can I see it?
I've been using it as a journal, but also as a joke diary. Funny thoughts or observations. I think I told you I'm pursuing a career in stand-up comedy.
No, you didn't.
I think I did.
I just hope my death makes more sense than my life. How does it feel to have to come here? Does it help to have someone to talk to?
I think I felt better when I was locked up in the hospital.
And have you thought more about why you were locked up?
Just a refresher, because you already have seen it, I assume, so let's get back to the details. What micro stuff you could notice and what kind of macro picture we can relate that to? Anyone? Please, yes?
It's like the clutter in the office kind of showed the turmoil in like the movie. Like the city was kind of a mess.
Right, awesome. By the way, there are so many micro stuff here, right? So that's one of them. Please?
His journal was like incredibly like cluttered and
Exactly.
misspelled the word sense.
Yep.
So that he's not in his right mind.
But that's also the joke he was trying to crack. He said this is a comedy he wrote. He was trying to make that pun, please. That's right. Thank you.
He was in the Department of Health and above his head was a poster that said drugs.
Awesome. Yep. Please, yes.
Just like the contrast between like him laughing a lot, but also looking like very off. Looking laughing.
So technically circling back and summing it up, what you all have said. So we have here acting gestures, props definitely, wilding away the room of the therapist or that speaks to the whole mental health situation of the city, right? His notepad or diary that we see. What else? Anything micro that you could notice that, oh, please, yes. Sorry?
Overall, it's just like very dark.
Very dark in terms of lighting or color. Awesome. Very pale. Yes, please.
Everything in the scene was like very dark and like what you just said, but he was wearing like a sweater, which made him like stand out against all of the dark. Like she was wearing dark muted tones, everything in there was dark muted tones, the posters were black and white.
Yes.
The lighting was very dim, and he was wearing a yellow sweater and laughing. which I think is going, is like in a way foreshadowing the way he stands out in society.
Certainly. So we have lots of stuff. So now the point I'm trying to make is, first one, the example of wrestler, we didn't have this much detailing. So when you have that much micro stuff going on, anyone else wanted to share something else that I missed? Oh, please, yes.
Kind of going on about like the dark atmosphere, like now it's very abruptly in like an all-white area.
Sudden shift of in the next scene. Brilliant. So what I'm trying to say is how to start my argument when we have all this micro stuff. Anyone has a take on it? There's so many things going on. And which one should I pick that I'll relate to the macro picture? Definitely you're free to pick it. So the most significant stuff you try to notice. And you can pen down all the others, like costume, someone mentioned, color palette, someone mentioned. You can put all these, but what's the first significant thing I can pick up? You're free to do that. I'm not saying everyone will pick the same thing, but make sure you pick something that strikes you the most and that would be easy to lay down all the other micro stuff that could help you build the macro picture of it. Now, one question that I'll ask you about a specific props. Look at the clock. We notice what time it is? Oh, good? We could see it? So when I first watched the scene, that's what struck me most. So what's the time here? Is it the same? Right? So in the next scene, which is a different time, supposed to be, right? Why we have a props that shows the same timing? Anyone who'd like to answer that? It's open to interpretation, definitely. Please? He is hallucinating. Okay, if you can prove that, any argument is fine. That's the most interesting thing about cinema studies. Please, yes?
You said he preferred the hospital better than these meetings, so it's like comparing like them at the same moment.
Almost like, yeah, that's also what she is pointing out. I mean, the same moment as in his mind.
No, just like in this scene, he says that he prefers the hospital, so it's like
Right.
flashing back to a time in which it was like the same time that he's in the hospital.
Right. So that says, so I didn't get the argument that you're trying to make. So yes, it's a flashback. So my question is, why we have the same time on the clock?
I'm kind of saying that it's the same time of the clock because it puts like both of like the two scenes
In the same plane?
in the same plane.
Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you for explaining it. Someone, yeah, please. Okay. So nothing changed, nothing improved. Awesome. Anyone else? The example I picked just to show you how we pick one micro stuff and then build our evidence and arguments on it to connect it to the bigger picture. You can put all these arguments that you all just have shared. He's hallucinating, or his time has stopped. Nothing has changed because the time has stopped actually. It's the same time. He's not living in the horizontal time we usually live in. He is living perhaps in a vertical time which doesn't move forward. Horizontal is that something moves forward, like your days change, your dates change. The vertical one is quite static. So he's in a different zone than the rest of the society. We're on the same page? Oh, good? Now, moving forward, my whole discussion, as I have centered around micro to macro, I'll show you some other clips where we try to see different things. In the first two examples, we have seen perhaps props, character gestures, and mostly props actually, art direction, how other details speak about the character and the thematic concept of the film. Let's see now cinematic technicalities. We might not know all these terminology when I'll be speaking about it. I'll try to explain as much as possible. So this is Shadow of a Doubt by Hitchcock, and one of the iconic scene. Before I show it to you, I want to ask a question about a technical aspect. We all know the meaning of fourth wall in cinema or in theater. In many visual arts, this term has been used. We know that. How many of you needs a little more clarification on that? What is a fourth wall, and why people break fourth wall, and what does it mean when you break a fourth wall? Fourth wall is the audience. That's the wall. And when you talk directly to the camera, that's what fourth wall breaking is. My question is, why we see here an iconic breaking of fourth wall? How many of you have watched, by the way, Shadow of a Doubt by Hitchcock? Yes. No one has? Nice. So I guess this will inspire you to watch. So there's no Hitchcock fan here, right? There's no Hitchcock fan here? Okay. Okay.
Charles, I promised Mrs. Green, the president of our club, that you'd talk to the ladies, and she wants to know what you're going to talk about.
Well, what am I going to talk about? Lectures usually give them travel or current events, don't they?
Oh, Charles, not current events. We get current events.
What sort of an audience would be?
Oh, women like myself, busy with our homes, most of us.
Women keep busy in towns like this. The cities is different. The cities are full of women, middle-aged widows, husbands dead, husbands who've spent their lives making fortunes, working and working. And then they die and leave their money to their wives, their silly wives. And what do the wives do, these useless women? You see them in the hotels, the best hotels every day by the thousands. Drinking the money, eating the money, losing the money at bridge, playing all day and all night, smelling of money. Proud of their jewelry, but of nothing else. Horrible. Faded, fat, greedy women.
They're alive, they're human beings.
Are they? Are they, Charlie?
You got it, right? It's a very misogynist, we got it. Yeah, we know that. We don't have to agree to that. But the technique is very interesting and why it has been used. That's the question. So I'm opening the floor. Who would like to share? Why suddenly in the dining scene, Uncle Charlie is speaking to the audience? Or speaking to the camera, let's put it in that. Please, yes?
It invites the audience into the discussion by posing a rhetorical question to the audience.
Yes, and why do you think that's happening?
Why do they do that?
Yeah, like let's say why it's not a fourth wall breaking, if it's another mid shot, close shot, or a long shot, why not that? So what would change if this technique was not used? You know what I'm saying? The question? That's okay. Let's see. No response. Please.
It makes it personal.
Brilliant. Okay. So it's kind of like you're getting into his head. The camera before that fourth wall shot was zooming in towards him. Right? So it's personal as in individual psyche. That's one point. Anything else? Please, yes? Yes, true. Now, the question is why you need a dramatic effect on that? Any guess? Even if you haven't watched. So actually the audience know, oh, please, yes.
It's kind of, this could be wrong, but it's like, it was such a controversial thing for him to say, like, in the moment.
Definitely.
They wanted to, like, separate him, like, isolate him.
Bingo, bingo, yeah. It kind of breaks the illusion, like the cinematic illusion we know.
It's something that isn't probably like defining to his character. So like him looking at the audience makes it seem like he's like fully believing that, not just in this like film like reality, but like
His ideology is very grounded on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Oh, please, yes.
I've never seen the movie, so I don't know, but the like feeling it's giving is like foreshadowing for what's gonna happen like later in the movie. Kind of telling us like, or is it looking at us being like, you're about to find out?
Bingo. So I was about to say that actually, that if you know the context, we as an audience actually know the character, that he's a murderer, a misanthropic murderer in this film, and the niece in the dining table with whom they're talking to. She has suspicion, but we'll find out eventually. So it's a mystery film, and we as an audience know, but the family members, they don't know that he's a murderer. So we know he can speak to us, and when he looks at us, we can relate to it because we know that he's a murderer. That's also another point. But the reason I'm questioning on your responses to give you that idea and that kind of base when you'll be writing about your arguments, always think of the questions that I'm asking. Why? Because it's a dramatic effect. Or why the dramatic effect was needed here. So always question yourself when you are penning it down. Make sense what I'm saying? That's the kind of exercise I'm trying to practice here. That we see something, we pick maybe a technical aspect or a props, maybe a shot, whatever micro we pick. And maybe you are relating it to the macro and always ask these questions, why? I'm showing you how. Why depends on you because it's you who's picking. Make sense? All good? Now another example of another technicality. So I'm kind of shifting to screen representation to apparatus, like the camera apparatus, like kind of camera movement we see, kind of lenses or shots. So now the next examples will be different shots to give you an idea why those shots are used. How many of you have watched Bicycle Thief by Vittorio De Sica, Italian neorealist film? Nice. We have only one. No one else watched? If it inspires you, do watch it. It's a beautiful film, by the way. Before, I should give you a context actually, before we start watching it. So it's the first scene of this film, and you can see the title. Now my context is just after the Second World War, when there were unemployment issues going on, huge socioeconomic discrimination in terms of economic class was kind of evident. And that's what this film addresses. Class difference. We're talking about economic class difference. Make sense what I'm saying? Yeah? And how it has been portrayed through these technicalities, through camera. That's what we'll try to look at now. Have a look at the first shot. Do you guys know the name of the shot? Like the term? What would you call it? Anyone knows cinematic terms? Feel free to shout out. Yes? Okay, a wide shot. That's fine. It's fine if you're not sure. Anyone else would like to contradict that? No? If that's a wide shot, I'm playing it. And I'll be speaking when I'm playing it.
You're going to see that dynamic happen visually in this sequence. It's really exciting stuff. Let's take a look at it.
Also look at the camera position, like where the camera is. But when I'm saying position, we mean the distance from the subject, the distance from the ground, like horizontally and vertically, both. Make sense what I'm saying? Like, is it here? Is it there? Is it top? Is it bottom? Is it low or high? If that's a wide shot, coming back to you who responded it's a wide shot, my question is, the next shot is this. What is this then? So technically we call this one a wide long shot. It's also known as establishing shot. Make sense? The earlier one was a mid shot, also known as composite shot. Composite because lots of characters were there. When we have multiple characters and from the west, not their full profile. So it's a mid shot. Make sense? Which is an unusual starting, by the way. A film starts, if you can imagine any film, with let's say, a drone bird's eye view shot. You know, you get to know the whole city, the whole location. Wide, long shot, kind of typical to start with. This film started with a mid shot, not a wide shot. The next one is a wide shot. And my question is why this has been reversed. Have a look at it a few seconds. And I'll get back to you on this question. Why we didn't start, the director didn't start the film with the long shot or wide shot, but started with mid shot. So we have this long shot. That guy is looking for Richie, who is our main character. And that's the only long shot. And we get back to that composite / mid shot. Angle changed in the next shot. So when we are talking about or analyzing a scene like this or telling a story like this, how shall we approach these technicalities? Any response to this usage of mid-shot? How many hands we have? Okay, one, please.
This might be like kind of a stretch, but could it be like we start with like a composite shot to show, because I think especially in that it's higher up and it's showing the man giving up the job application on a higher step than everyone else.
Bingo.
A nicer suit than everyone else, and it's kind of showing the like socioeconomic like disparity between the two and how they're all like below him, like economically below him. And then like it's starting off establishing class dynamic between him and the rest of the people.
Right.
And then it like and then it like goes to the establishing shot showing what's happening, further showing that he is on a step above them, and now he's still above Richie, offering him a job, and Richie is like above the crowd. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense. So I'll just use the term high and low angle.
This is like a high angle shot right now showing the
Right. The first shot that we saw was a low angle shot. So when you start talking about or writing about this stuff, for any purpose, whether for journalism, advertising, you see how you communicate through technicalities. That's what we're trying to say. It's not only about the story, not only about the dialogue only, but the techniques speak to you in certain ways. And that's how film speaks, and the same language we would see in any audio-visual platform. So we see this low-angle shot earlier, if you remember the way the first shot started. The camera was there, it's a composite shot. It was from the point of view, of the deprived economic class people. I don't want to use low as an adjective in front of class. And another is high angle shot has been used for the privileged class when the camera is up. Right now, here. So we have, this is a higher position. The position is drawn like this. One character here giving job, and other characters, a lot of seeking jobs. Make sense? And it was this dynamics established through camera positions that speaks to the same macro as we started speaking about. So you pick one micro stuff and connect to the macro again. Make sense? All good? And the next topic is going kind of deeper when we're talking about cinematic language. So we get to know usage of props. We got to know a little bit of high angle, low angle. We got to know what does it mean when we see a composite shot, mid-shot, which was quite claustrophobic. A lot of crowd were there, right? And we see the establishment shot quite later. That's not very important. Rather, the high and low class difference was emphasized. That's why the tradition has been subverted. It didn't start with establishing shot. So you establish your argument when you're writing about it. Why it didn't start with establishing shot. You can make that argument. Make sense? And now, going deeper, we will see now camera movement, not static shots when the camera moves. One kind of move we saw zooming in and breaking the fourth wall. There are other kinds of movements, and how do we call it? One is 180-degree movement. How many of you know 180-degree movement? No? It's a term. Okay, we'll see.
show you how. The line
So let's have a look at this example.
is with camera movement. In this scene from Heat, De Niro has been caught off guard by an attractive woman. Is she an undercover cop? Maybe FBI? Or even an assassin?
Lady, why are you so interested in what I read or what I do?
But once he's convinced she's a bookstore employee, we see that transformation play out visually.
I didn't mean to be rude. I didn't recognize you.
The camera crosses the line.
My name's Neil.
We have moved from the backs of our characters to the front, away from danger and suspicion to a place of openness.
You got an idea what is it? The camera was at the back. You cannot just cross 180 degrees without any reason, without a proper logic. That would be jarring. You can see a lot of examples from bad editing, quote unquote, where 180-degree rule has been broken without a logical establishment. Here, the camera moved, so it came to the front, but it's not an aesthetic choice only, because the character's psyche, the mindset moved about the person. So there's a change that happens in your character. There's a storyline that changes, and that's why the apparatus also changes its aesthetic choices. Make sense? It's not random. It's not just because it looks beautiful you move the camera. There has to be a reason. All good? That's 180 degree. Any confusion on 180 degree? Feel free to ask. Now, another camera movement that I'll show you is not based on... Have you guys watched Parasite? Bong Joon-ho's Parasite? How many of you? Oh, many of you, yeah. Nice. Nice. For camera movement, another perfect example is what Professor Bryant has been talking all these days about adolescence, because that's not a montage-based film. Montage, we know montage. What is montage? Cut, editing, assembling. When you cut to shots and add them, that's montage. So that assemblage, montage literally means assemblage. We don't have that. It's purely only camera movement. And it is also called mise-en-scène. We know the term mise-en-scène? A few of you. So we'll get there today. We'll talk about and see more examples of what is mise-en-scène. Mise-en-scène is everything that happens on screen. The whole composition of characters, of lighting, of camera, and all these things that we kind of have been addressing today. And how it all functions for one big purpose, one macro purpose. All these are not functioning for different things. For one purpose, all these are at the same goal. And that's what mise-en-scène is. Mise-en-scène means, you can say blocking. Adolescence, the Netflix new series, that is completely based on blocking, characters blocking. So let's have a look at Parasite, as I was talking about, and what kind of mise-en-scène we see there.
The stairs. Middle classes.
As we have talked about Bicycle Thieves by Vittorio De Sica, which is the shots we analyzed and saw high and low angle of class difference. In Parasite, most of you have watched it as you raised hands, we see also this kind of visual aesthetics on class difference, if you remember the plot, and how it is visually composed. So from camera movement to I'm now shifting a bit to what kind of compositional choices we see on screen and how it makes sense. So one aesthetic style we saw is high and low angle to address class difference, right? Here it's different, the way it has been addressed, not through high and low angle shots, but through compositions. What kind of compositions? Could be geometric compositions, could be symmetric, asymmetric compositions, could be blocking, the way you position your character. And I would use a word, it may not make sense in one shot, it will make sense in continuation of it. So you kind of, let's put it in this way, continuum. So what kind of continuity we see here? When you repeat the same thing again and again, then it stands out. You feel like it might mean something. Making sense what I'm saying? Let's have a look.
Created by two panels of middle glasses, separates the common folk from the rich lady. The poor son and the housekeeper on one side, the lady on the other. Notice when the housekeeper wakes up the lady, how she seems very reluctant to cross this line. The line continues for the next few shots, slicing the screen in half here and here. And when they ascend the stairs, walking into the light again, by the way, the pillar splits them still. Even when they are walking together, the line on the ceiling and the floor separates them. Finally, the son manages to impress the lady, and we have this shot. The camera moves, the son crosses over. This line will reappear and disappear a few times, depending on whether or not the poor family is accepted into the rich household. And finally, at the end, when the son is having an inner struggle, split between his forged rich persona and poor identity, we have this shot. Simple, blunt, yet direct. And
got an idea? It's the continuation of the line we see in every shot. The camera didn't move. We just saw how different class, socioeconomic class here, when we say class, divided by certain geometric lines, whether in the architecture, in the interior, so the way you position your characters. So that was another approach, and earlier we saw high and low angle approach. Anyone knows the word intertextuality, or the term, please? Please, yeah. No, I'll just pick up the crossover word. So the official term of intertextuality, you can see the prime keyword here is text. So when one text alludes to, refer to the other text, going deeper, because when we see this kind of films today, like Parasite, most of you have watched, as you said, and even if you haven't, when you're writing about it, particularly let's say for the assignment, or you want to be a film critic, you want to be a film reviewer, you gotta know the kind of intertext that exists in this film. Am I making sense here? So what kind of intertext we see here? References to other texts. Do you guys know Akira Kurosawa film named High and Low? I'll show you some examples. So that's the thing. This film, Parasite, has references to Psycho by Hitchcock and also Akira Kurosawa's High and Low. Now that's the thing. If you're studying media and if you're graduating as a media student, you got to know this intertextual history, that how those films influenced and inspired the contemporary maker. And when you know that, your analysis or your answer may shift a little direction that will make it enrich. Make sense what I'm saying? It's not only an aesthetic choice that you're analyzing, but you know the history of it, what kind of technicalities, genealogically, historically, you can trace that has influenced the contemporary choices. And if you haven't watched or you don't know nothing about High and Low, or then there will be a little lack in the analysis. Make sense what I'm saying? Please.
Yeah, so how many of you guys have ever watched The Simpsons? Everybody, right? They are the quintessential postmodernist example of intertextuality, right? I mean, they are constantly, they reenact scenes from movies all the time. Even in the opening, there are references to other films or television programs. So Homer will trip over the couch in the opening, going to couch, over the ottoman as he's walking to the couch in the opening. And that's a reference to the Dick Van Dyke Show, that he, at the beginning of that show, he either jumped over the ottoman, sidestepped it, or did a somersault to get around it, right? So they do that all the time. Family Guy, I think you guys love it. And South Park does it all the time.
Yeah, I love.
If any of you guys are Tarantino films, it's pretty much everything he does is referential to 70s pulp films. I mean, in fact, it was called Pulp Fiction. It was, in fact, it was a intertextual.
Even Barbie.
That
Yeah.
genre film.
Yeah, even Barbie. Do you guys know? I guess you have watched Barbie, right? Most of you might have. It's a very recent one. And which intertextual reference it has? No? Perfect. Awesome, man. Thank you. The beginning shot, the beginning scene, completely shot to shot, light to light, everything was a reference to Space Odyssey. We'll have a look at it. Before that, let's see how Parasite, as we have seen, Parasite's composition, particularly architectural composition, and how it was, how Bong Joon-ho was inspired by High and Low and Hitchcock's Psycho.
It's also why you can watch cartoons with your kids, or whoever you're babysitting, and you're laughing and they're laughing, you're both laughing. It's a totally different thing. The Animaniacs were one of the first cartoons that really did that for a lot of people.
Young's 1960 film The Housemaid, which features a similar story about a poor maid infiltrating the rich. But thematically, its most interesting inspiration comes from Akira Kurosawa's 1963 film High and Low, one of the first films that used height as a visual representation of class, with the rich towering above and the poor living underneath. Parasite expands upon this idea through another visual motif introduced earlier: stairs. On second viewing, it's incredible to see how vertical the film is, right from its opening image. Whenever a character climbs a flight of stairs, it's a visual symbol of the rise in the social class, while the walk down suggests the opposite.
So we have the same reference in Akira Kurosawa's High and Low film. Staircase as a medium to differentiate between these two classes. Another example is Psycho.
Inspired by Alfred Hitchcock, which he alludes to with a little snapshot here. In the genre of horror, no film director is more iconic than Hitchcock, with arguably his most famous film, Psycho. In broad strokes, the movie is a mystery about a series of murders at the dilapidated Bates Motel, which lies at the foot of the caretaker's old house. Bong Joon-ho says, "I rewatched Psycho because of the Bates house, not the motel. It had a very interesting structure." By this structure, he refers to the distinct floors of the house connected by long sets of stairs. In both movies, these stairs create a dramatic tension. Watch here as both characters approach the basement. See how the scenes mirror each other as they build anticipation.
Mrs. Bates.
Let's step back. Why does this matter? The answer is that it is only by knowing these conventions that we see how Parasite is unique. While The Housemaid contributes its symbolic use of stairs, we see Bong Joon-ho shatter this foundation by introducing a scarier, deeper set of stairs, which adds further to the social critique. Thus, the film is not simply about the dynamic between rich and poor, but also the conflict fostered between poor families who are put against each other because of the severe inequality.
So you see there's a connection to it. How previous films inspire the contemporary ones. And when you know about it, you can pick it up right away. That could be your micro before you jump to the macro thematic analysis that you're writing about. Now, as I have said, kind of the film that you already have watched and quite familiar with is Barbie. And let's see. It's not opening.
Since the beginning of time, since the first little girl ever existed, there have been dolls. But the dolls were always and forever baby dolls.
Part of the audio, I had to edit it to kind of bring it together. So that's a short one, just to give you a vibe how shot to shot the first scene. Now my question coming back to all of you again, why do you think, you already knew, so I'm not putting you on the spot, but if you want to share, feel free. But it's open to all for interpretation. Why do you think we have this allusion to Space Odyssey in Barbie? Anyone has a response to that? Apart from the fact someone is very much inspired by a director and you admire someone a lot, that's a different topic. But apart from that, thematically in the film, what kind of reference is that? What it's trying to speak? And if you're writing about it, let's say this is your assignment, and when you're writing about the first scene, you're analyzing it, and you cannot skip it, right? You have to mention the kind of allusion we see here. And why? The question is why? How do you approach it? Anyone, please? And it's also a new world. The Barbie world we see, it's a different world. It's not the world we live in. That also was a point added to that. It's a nice point. Thank you. Yep.
I've never seen Space Odyssey, but I'm guessing the monolith is kind of like the evolution of mankind.
Bingo.
And Barbie is like the evolution of like the doll. So that's why they kind of pay homage to it.
Right.
It's an evolution of something that's already existed.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. Anyone else? Please, yes. Yep. Yes, and that's the kind of evolution that he also talked about, right? Bingo. Anyone else?
I'll add that it was, I was just telling Fahini, like, when I saw that opening, I said, I would fucking love this movie. Before I saw any more of it, because like, they're referencing one of my favorite movies, my favorite director.
Yep.
It's the grandiosity of like, they're like, that opening film, with all the hype that it had, opening with that is flawless, actually, because it is really like, you're laying down a marker like, we're actually talking about something that important.
Something that important, right. So it kind of heightens the significance of it. Right. It's not about only dolls, it's bigger than that, right? And that's how you can put your analysis when you know the technicalities, when you know the props, when you know all this intertextuality that you see in any audiovisual content. And if you can make the connection, if you can prove it, even if no one has ever written about it, even if you Googled and you saw nothing, please, yes, you want to say something?
Yeah, and also kind of connects back to the macro of Barbie, which is like talking
Yes.
about how like Barbie dolls like aren't just Barbie dolls, like they're more significant because of like the societal norms that they put on women and like how and like so like by opening up a Space Odyssey, like it's kind of like explaining how like the Barbie is like more significant to our society than we give it credit for.
It kind of challenges the kind of preset mindset we have. That's what you're trying to say. Like it challenges that traditional norms. It's not a doll. It's breaking those boundaries of perceptions. Brilliant, thank you. Now the next interesting discussion, as I started talking about, is this one, mise-en-scène. And we do have time, no worries about that. So I'll show you 7:58.
Which gives weight to the frame.
Before I show you the examples of it, so mise-en-scène is quite broad. It's, as I said, the definition of it is whatever happens on screen is mise-en-scène. Now, whatever happens is lighting is happening, composition is happening, character blocking. I mean, I'm moving from here to there, all the characters are moving, that's also mise-en-scène. So the way the screen is completely designed for the audience to make meaning out of it, that's mise-en-scène. Now, it's a theatrical term. Its original meaning is, in theater, blocking, because on stage, performers move and make meaning out of it. Who's sitting, who's standing, when to move, in which dialogue, what should be my gesture. So all these are part of mise-en-scène. And now we'll see on camera for the audiovisual world how this mise-en-scène aesthetics function. And the kind of examples we picked today is geometric shots, like when it's symmetric, when it's asymmetrical, and why. So we'll get to know those kind of approaches with mise-en-scène. Let's have a look.
There's balance, which gives weight to the frame. This shot emphasizes the symmetry between the man and the woman, with the child in the middle as a fulcrum. That's a very controlled shot. Even a wild shot like this has asymmetrical balance. The man with the mask in the foreground is balanced by the man in the chair in the background, with the radial pattern below for added texture. This shot has a sense of balance, staged in deep space, where the scene places elements both far and near to the camera, drawing attention to the distance between them, from the people in front of the scene who are talking about the child, all the way back to the child in the window, who...
That's an iconic shot from Citizen Kane, if you don't know about Citizen Kane. The reason I paused it, because the term has been used, and I think I should explain. What is a deep space or deep lens? Anyone has an idea of it? Please? Correct. There's no blurry, fuzzy stuff at the back. You can see the background. Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing. So when we use a deep lens, that means you can see the foreground and background equally, because it's equally important maybe. That's why you want that. Now, what is a shallow focus? You'll say another example.
The scene is about. Scenes can also be staged in shallow space. This scene is staged flatly, emphasizing the closeness of the subject and background objects, or even implying no depth at all.
So we create a depth of field here. The background is shallow. So that's a different kind of lens. So when you have, we talked about camera, we talked about movement, props. So just keep this in your mind that lens also makes an impact, how you make meaning out of a shot. What kind of lenses are there? There are various kinds of prime lens used for certain reasons. Wide, long, tele lens used for certain other reasons. Macro, do you know macro what is? It's kind of like you can see insects as well, tiny objects expanded. That's when we use macro lens. So we have RTV, you can check out stuff, I guess, if you're enrolled in a film production course and experiment with all these technical apparatus. Moving to what mise-en-scène is, we get to know, it's quite big as I said. I'll share all these resources with you so that you can have a look at other stuff if you're interested in something else. I'm interested in balance, geometric shots, lenses. I'll upload everything in Canvas files. The next is our last topic, which is montage, which we don't have in Adolescence, if you guys have watched Adolescence. I watched until episode 3, by the way. There are 4 episodes. And the third one kind of shattered me. It's awesome. It's a one-shot, as you know, Professor already shared. So montage is assemblage. We put together 2 things and it makes something else. The meaning becomes A plus B equals to C. That's the formula, is known as Kuleshov effect. I'll show you some examples, but so when I'm saying A plus B means C, let's put it in this way. So let's say the most cliche example is a shot of a person's face, and the next shot is food. Then the meaning you're making out of it is? No? Please?
The person about to eat the food.
Hungry. He wants the food. Now, the same face and close shot of the face, and we don't have the food. Now we have, let's say, a murder weapon. And then the meaning is different, right? Make sense what I'm saying? So that means it doesn't matter this is a close shot or portrait of a person. What matters is what you're putting together, and then the meaning changes. Based on this, also we have male gaze theory, how in a patriarchal concept, men look... Yeah. So how in a patriarchal concept, men look at women. So for example, you see a close shot of a man, and then let's say stereotypically speaking, a woman in a swimming pool, your meaning out of it will be the person is having a different desire. Make sense? So the meaning changes every time you assemble a different thing, but the same shot, the same close shot. So only the shot doesn't make any sense in that case because you're making meaning through montage, not through shots, but through assemblage. And let's have a look at it. So two names are there. This is Kuleshov effect that I just have explained. Another is Sergei Eisenstein's montage. And if we get time, we'll have a look at it, but we also have Wednesday. So let's see, we have seen a little bit of examples of Hitchcock's films. So I would start with Hitchcock's interview on Kuleshov effect and montage. It's always good to know not only to see the person's artifacts, but also to see the person speaking who made those artifacts. It creates a different impression and makes you grounded to the concepts.
Sizes. You know, a lot of people think that cutting is, or say montage or assembly, is taking a man from one place to another and jumping into a close-up of him, which Griffith invented, is true. But to me, it goes much deeper. And as I say, the picture Psycho contained quite an amount of cinematic approach to this, to its basic content. In the first place, we had in it the murder of a woman in a shower, of a nude woman. Now, as you know, you could not take the camera and just show a nude woman being stabbed to death. It had to be done impressionistically. So it was done with little pieces of film. The head, the feet, the hand, the parts of the torso, shadow on the curtain, everything, you see, was the shower itself. Now that's one kind. Now we'll take another kind, which I would prefer to call, say, the orchestration. Loud notes, soft notes, and so forth. The second murder in Psycho was treated quite differently. It showed a detective coming up the stairs, the audience already aware that a monster was around. So they were apprehensive for him, but they didn't know when it was going to happen. So I have this man mounting the stairs in what we would call a medium shot, a waist shot. And he gets to the top of the stairs. Then I take the camera and put it very, very high. Way, way high. Above the ceiling almost. As though we're looking down on the whole thing. And a little figure runs out with a raised knife. And the hand goes up with the knife into the air and starts to bring it down. Now remember, these are two tiny figures. Then the next cut is a big head of the man as the knife goes across his face.
So you see the assemblage theory that he has used in his film and talking about kind of analyzing his own film. The reason I picked up this particular interview is because you'll be analyzing almost their films, and the way they see their films and analyze the shots, it helps us to analyze the films from not only from our own perspective, but also how the director thought of it. And to go back, next assignment is on this. That's the next slide, and I'm not going to talk much about it. You can have a look at if it's open or not, but next class will focus more on how we can use all this that we have talked about in the film analysis assignment that you have due this week. Thank you.